Well, the Boy Scouts, as the Boy Scouts, ceased to exist yesterday. The century-old group is now Scouts BSA. The new gender-neutral name is designed to reflect the group's new openness to admitting girls. The Boy Scouts going co-ed eliminates one of the last healthy all-male groups open to young men, given that young men are really struggling in this country. What are the implications of this, if any? Tammy Bruce is a radio host. She thinks deeply about changes to American society, so we wanted to ask her view. How you doing, Tammy?
Hey, thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
So I've got a bunch of girls, and I love them, and I want what's best for them. And so, you know, joining the Boy Scouts is good for them. I'm for that. But I really worry that there aren't many places where boys can be boys, where they're not under attack for being boys. And I always thought of the Boy Scouts as one of those places, and now it isn't that. So should I be worried?
Well, I think that this does not indicate that that's the case, I think, really. Let's keep in mind this is about also perhaps declining membership. In the 70s, the Boy Scouts had like 5 million members. They've gone down about 12% since 2012. They're at about 2.3 million now. So this is also, we want the Boy Scouts to survive. They've been instrumental in the strength of the country, in creating leaders in government, in science, in space travel. We need them. And I think that what's happening here, certainly in the 21st century, is that, and maybe the Boy Scouts can show us the way, that this can still be categories and events and projects and an overarching view about the strength of boys and the importance of those relationships, that boys with boys and the nature of the strength of what young men do, while also being able to weave in young women. And in their plans, what I've read is that these will be separate programs. While it's changing to Scouts, the overarching name remains Boy Scouts of America. And look, I think that this is also part of the Boy Scout framework about being able to help the nation in general. And I think we're at a stage where for the young women who want to have this kind of great experience, keep in mind the Girl Scouts really aren't offering that now. It's more about a social justice warrior framework. And they're missing out on this dynamic. And I think that if the parents stay involved, the volunteers are involved, and Americans make it clear that girls probably want to join because they want the same experience and at least the character building, certainly, that the Boy Scouts offer.
Interesting. So you're more optimistic about this than I am.
Well,
just wonder, in 2018, could you have an all-male group that wasn't derided as anti-female, and that wasn't, in fact, anti-female?
No.
I mean, you can have a single-sex organization that's not mad at the other sex, obviously.
Sure, sure.
Do we have room for that in our society?
Well, we should, obviously, and just because the left doesn't like it doesn't mean that we have to adapt and accept their point of view about what's wrong. And this is my worry about the slippery slope, is that, look, I think it's good, it can be managed, but you know what the left is going to do? They're then going to argue that, well, you're not treating the girls equally. If these are separate projects, separate experiences, that they're going to start to sue to change the principled base of the Boy Scouts. Now, look, if you want social justice warring, you can join the Girl Scouts. But we already have 3,000 girls who've joined the Cub Scouts because that's what's interesting these young women and their parents. So we've got to stay in touch with this, but we've got to be able to do it. There's nothing that we can do that's going to stop the left from complaining, and we've got to make sure that we push back and stand up for groups like the Boy Scouts that make the difference in this country.
Interesting. I hadn't thought of it that way. You made me feel a little better. Tammy, thank you.
Good. Thank you, dear.
The Boy Scouts of America have changed their name to go with their new policy of including girls among their ranks, and their new name is Scouts BSA. What is that? See, I think if you just said, you know, Scouts of America, that would have been fine.
Yeah, the B makes it sound like
I'm not sure what Scouts Be America?
Yeah.
I don't know. What is
Boy
the
Scouts of America?
Boy Scouts America?
They had to get that boy in there.
Yeah.
But it should just be Scouts of America. If you're going to be,
and they're
trying to include
let girls in.
They're going to let girls in, and the program's going to have separate units anyway for boys and girls, so they'll still stay divided along gender lines, but each troop will have the opportunity to work towards Eagle Scout, which is a huge honor and very difficult to get. I know that the Girl Scouts of America, though, are feeling that now they're going to lose some of their membership as well.
I would say my opinion of this, and it's not a popular one, I don't think, but I think that girls do not benefit from having boys in their midst at these young ages. because
They
I
won't.
think,
They
but
won't.
I know,
They're
but they're
separate.
still going to have some interactions. Just in general, I went to an all-girls high school, as did you.
I did too.
And I think that
I went to an
works.
all-girls college.
Yeah.
It was women, but
boys benefit from having girls in their midst. I'm not sure that girls benefit from having boys in their midst.
the part I got on board.
Because boys, I don't know, it's like they can turn into Lord of the Flies at any given moment.
a lot of the
Girls
reasons
are always so civilized, you know?
Yeah, but
a lot of the reasons
Go ahead.
that girls wanted to get into the Boy Scouts was about Boy Scouts were getting to do different things, and I can get on board with that because I think as a girl, people had to find a label for you, like you're a tomboy or you're one of those athletic ones or you have a brother. No one could just understand Sarah fitting in a wider idea of being a girl.
You wanna go
and I
out
wanted
on the
to
passes.
push myself harder. I wanted to do daring things. I wasn't a Boy Scout or a Girl Scout, full disclosure, but I don't like when they try to taper tasks to a gender to decide what they should be doing,
Well,
like
shouldn't they
that are
change
different.
the curriculum of the Girl Scouts then? Like if they want
they
to
can do
learn how to
that.
sharpen knives, build fires, whatever.
And they
I think
probably
that's
do
why.
that
I think
anyway.
that's
Why
why
they're
they
doing
have.
this
That's why they're doing this, is so that it doesn't matter what gender you are. You're a scout. And so all scouts will probably be learning all the same stuff.
I need the
with
table
that
to brace themselves. I 100% agree with Joy on this, and I think gender should be completely. I say that with love, but I agree. I think it should be still separate.
Really?
See, I don't. No,
Well, you liked being in an all-girl high school, didn't you?
I didn't like being in high school. Let's start with that. But no, because I grew up always in mixed company. I went
Because you had a brother?
Well, no, because I went to schools that were boys and girls,
Oh, okay.
and I went to camp that was boys and girls. So for me, it was fine. It's how I lived. I didn't live just amongst women. So it would have been odd for me to just isolate that way. But I think that with all the things that the Scouts do that the Boy Scouts did, that the Girl Scouts did not. It was really about the cooking.
Well, that's what you're saying is the curriculum.
So I'm saying that's why
I don't
they
mind if they're
decided to
divided.
call them Scouts and not, so that everybody can do the same. You can start a fire.
Meanwhile, in breaking news, apparently the Boy Scouts of America are now going to change their name. So we've reached the point in American society where it is just not tolerant enough for there to be things like Boy Scouts anymore. There's a famous clip of me online talking to a woman about transgenderism in which we're talking about the Boy Scouts, and she says, why shouldn't girls be allowed to be in the Boy Scouts? Meaning, why shouldn't girls who believe they're boys be allowed in the Boy Scouts? And I said, because it's called the Boy Scouts, right? That it's for boys. Well, now the Boy Scouts have changed their names. They've already been moving to the left on a bunch of social issues under pressure from various state governments. The state of California tried to remove the state tax-exempt status of the Boy Scouts of California if they had not actually allowed gay scoutmasters, for example. The Boy Scouts have become a much more secular organization, and they've begun admitting girls as well. According to the New York Post today, for 108 years, the Boy Scouts of America's flagship program has been known simply as the Boy Scouts. With girls soon entering the ranks, the group says that iconic name will change. Now, you may be asking yourself, why can't there be a Girl Scouts? Because there are Girl Scouts, and they sell me cookies. So what's the deal? Why does there have to be a Boy Scouts that allows girls? And the answer is because the left is so stupid and terrible that they believe that any such situation in which boys play only with boys must by its very nature be sexist and discriminatory. This is insanely dumb. Boys should be allowed to have groups with other boys. Girls should be allowed to have groups with other girls. And it is stupid to suggest that this is some form of nefarious discrimination. It's very important for males to bond with one another. Okay, and it's important for them to do so in the absence of females sometimes. The same thing is certainly true for women. Okay, there are lots of places in America where women get together and they are just with other women. Okay, as in every brunch ever. Okay, this happens a lot. And that's okay. It's good. It's important. People should be allowed to associate with the people they want to associate with in the United States of America. But the left has pressured the Boy Scouts so much that now they not only are admitting girls, they now are renaming themselves. Well, this comes along with a fair bit of irony because there's one group that's actually super ticked about this. The Girl Scouts. The Girl Scouts are really mad that the Boy Scouts are now allowing girls. They're afraid that the Boy Scouts are going to suddenly have Girl Scout troops, and suddenly the Girl Scouts, which is an independent organization, will cease to exist. It will actually fall out of favor. The whole thing is really dumb. Chief Scout Executive Mike Serbaugh said many possibilities had been included. They've renamed the Boy Scouts program Scouts BSA, right, which really means Scouts, Boy Scouts of America, but they're not going to use Boy Scouts of America anymore. The parent organization remains the Boy Scouts of America. The Cub Scouts keeps its title, but the Boy Scouts, the program for 11 to 17-year-olds, is now the Scouts BSA, and the organization has already started admitting girls into the Cub Scouts. Scouts BSA begins accepting girls next year. They say that now they are going to refer to themselves simply as Scouts rather than boy or girl or another modifier like that. The program for the older boys and girls will largely be divided along gender lines, with single-sex units pursuing the same types of activities, earning the same array of merit badges, and potentially having the same pathway to the coveted Eagle Scout Award. Now listen, we here in this office, we sign a lot of letters in congratulation for folks for becoming Eagle Scouts. It takes an enormous amount of time and effort to become an Eagle Scout. But Girl Scouts have a similar process, and that's okay. That's okay. I don't think that girls have to do exactly the same things as boys. And by the way, the Girl Scout awards are not, the merit badges are not cooking and sewing anymore. Okay, many of them are exactly the same merit badges as the Boy Scouts get. But this is the funny part again. Once you obliterate the distinction between the sexes, you end up destroying the feminists. Right? So the Girl Scout leaders say they are blindsided by the move. They're gearing up an aggressive campaign to recruit and retain girls as members. Among the initiatives is creation of numerous new badges that girls can earn, focusing on outdoor activities and on science, engineering, technology, and math. Okay, let me just be straight about this. Okay, the number of girls who are desperate to get merit badges in science, engineering, technology, and math just by choice is a lot lower than the number of girls who want to do all the other merit badges. You know how I know that? Because this has been true to every study ever done of science and technology preference among girls and boys. It does not say that girls aren't good at STEM stuff. It's just say that they don't prefer working in STEM fields. So if you're trying to attract girls to your ranks, it's kind of weird that you're going to do so by moving into areas where girls are least likely to want to participate. Listen, I'm fine with them offering these options. That's totally fine with me. But again, I think that the obliteration of sexual distinctions is really, really stupid. And not only that, it is, from the left, a fascistic matter. Okay, the attempt to break down cultural distinctions by the left in order to level all human beings into these sexless widgets is really counterproductive and really